Thank you for pressing start on episode 79 of Underplayed, KZUM's indie video game podcast. Today, we have 2 secret games followed by a review of our featured game, Sable. Here on Underplayed, we review indie games of all kinds, the games with small budgets but big hearts, the lesser-known experiences with imaginative ideas. I'm Bo Poe, and I'm joined by another. He got the platinum in Going Under. It's one of his numerous claims to fame. He's the obtier Ib in a cooperative game. He runs like a pony. He loves pepperoni. It's the one and only DiscoCola. What is happening?
I'm having a hard time hearing you through this mask. Hey, hold on. Just a second. Feeling a little dizzy, but I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing just fine, my glowworm on a stalactite in a cave. Those are references to our featured game, Sable. Our first featured game this season where it's just the two of us talking about a game the old-fashioned way.
We have an above average percentage of guest episodes this season.
We do. We have an average of one every other episode. And actually, that's a good segue into what I wanted to just quickly mention, and that's that next episode we will have another one of those guests. Hey, it's Haley, our friend and streamer and awesome person, will be joining us to help us, to just tell us about herself and everything she does, talk a little bit about indie. Oh, sorry, I have a hair in my mouth.
Leave that in the episode.
We'll be talking to her about all of the stuff that she does on Twitch and elsewhere. We'll be talking a little bit about indie games, talking shop about games we love. And then also she's going to help us review Dwarf Romantic, which will be the featured game of the next episode. So we're really looking forward to that. Just wanted to make people aware of that. We always try to give a heads up in the episode before about an upcoming guest. And then since it's the second episode of our season, we are going to do the thing we do every season, which is where we talk about a few games that we're looking forward to coming up. So I think we've each picked 3 this time, less than we've had before, but I'm nonetheless super excited to talk about these with you. Did you want to share about your first one? I don't know what your list is.
Oh, sure.
I see you just messaged me.
I sent you some, yeah.
I see him now, yeah.
So the first one I sent you is called Kid Bash Super Legend.
Ooh.
And this is very, very obviously from the character design taking some inspiration from Mega Man. But you also, I kind of get the feeling that there's inspiration from like Mii's, like Nintendo Mii's.
Yeah.
Not 100% on that one, though. But it just kind of looks like this more claymation, chibi Mega Man-like.
It also reminds me of like Yoshi's Crafted World, those kinds of games, Kirby's Epic Yarn, kind of those kinds of things.
It's got that sort of art vibe going on. And then it's just like, it looks like Mega Man crossed between an ice climber and has like weapons from Nintendo Mii's. I'm even in this trailer seeing some like Mr. Game & Watch looking kind of sections as well. Yeah,
there's like a silhouetted boss that I saw a glimpse of. There's a pirate boss that you're fighting. If you don't mind, I'd like to read the game synopsis from the Steam store.
Go for it.
In this nostalgic roguelike action platformer, awaken in a world of forgotten game characters as a hero with no memory of his past. After failing to save a nearby village from destruction, can you rise, rebuild, and rediscover the true meaning of being a hero? That sounds epic. I think I added this to my wish list too, but I don't remember where I saw it. I might have seen it on Bluesky or something.
I saw it in some showcase, but I can't remember which one. I couldn't tell you.
Nice. Yeah, we've had a lot of showcases recently. We had Summer Game Fest not too long ago, so a lot of our picks come from that. A lot of my picks actually come from Steam Next Fests. And the first one I'll share about is Dispatch. This is something that a lot of people popped off for when it was shown in some showcase. I don't remember which one, but this is a superhero workplace comedy where choices matter. Manage a dysfunctional team of misfit heroes and strategize who to send to emergencies around the city, all while balancing office politics, personal relationships, and your own quest to become a hero. And this is developed and published by Ad Hoc Studio. I think it's their first game. This game is technically indie, but it is stacked with voice talent from the likes of Aaron Paul, Jeffrey Wright, Laura Bailey, Jacksepticeye is in this, Alana Pierce, lots of other very talented people voicing this cast. I got to play the demo of this in Next Fest, and this game is so funny, Disco. And it's also so masterfully animated. I love the animation in this. This is a game where you're making choices. Choices definitely matter in this game. You're managing this team of superheroes that's very like the Suicide Squad. Like they're kind of washed. Some of them are washed up. Some of them are delinquents. But you work for this office where your job is to dispatch the superheroes to solve problems around the city. And in gameplay, this takes the form of looking at a map, seeing emergencies pop up, and determining who would be best at solving these problems given their abilities, their strengths, and their weaknesses. And so as you send the superheroes out, you see them develop and get skill points and improve. So you really want to strategically pick the right heroes for the right problems, but problems will overlap. And sometimes you wish you could deploy the same superhero to multiple places, and you can't always do that. But then when you're not doing that, you're selecting dialogue, and it is very funny. It's vulgar. You might not expect that just looking at some screenshots, but it is wry, and it's also being worked on by some of the people who made the Telltale games.
Okay.
A lot of seasoned professionals in the narrative gaming world working on this game too.
Wow. Yeah, that looks incredible. I remember when I saw that, it seems like almost a year and a half ago at this point. It feels like forever ago the first time I saw something about this.
Yeah, it's supposed to come out in 2025, according to the Steam page. So no date specifically. And then also for Kid Bash Super Legend, it says to be announced for release date.
My next one I saw, I think in the same showcase as Kid Bash. It's The Big Catch. This just looks like a fun 3D platformer, but your main source of not only attack but also mobility is a fishing pole.
Yeah.
And you seem to move pretty fast. And I love the little character design. He's kind of like a nebulous black something or other. It doesn't seem to be any particular like anthropomorphized kind of animal or anything. Just somebody that has a fishing pole and jumps really high and goes really fast. And I just love the way it looks.
Yeah, this is one of the games I got to play at PAX, and I don't think they have the demo on Steam yet. And they also don't have a release date announced, but this is one that I waited in line for like half an hour to play, and it was worth it. It was really fun. The demo was basically this big level that they just let you run around in. No objectives that I could tell, just run around, use your fishing pole, get some experience trying the mobility, and maybe catch some fish here and there. But it was fun. I'm looking forward to this as well.
I think the way the character move kind of reminds me of Crash, but you're moving around as fast as like Sonic at times, and 3D Sonic, not like classic Sonic. But anyways.
It does feel that fast.
Yeah.
And you're using the fishing pole in ways you might not expect, like grappling to things. You're going vertically, like really tall distances too. Another one I'm looking forward to is yet another one I tried in Next Fest. It's called Hell Clock, and this comes out pretty imminently. It's coming out July 22nd. The Steam page says, forge powerful builds with endless loot in this relentless combination of roguelike and ARPG, blast through dungeons and unleash inhuman powers in a dark fantasy twist on Brazil's War of Canudos. So this ended up being my favorite game of Next Fest. It's the one that I played for like far and away the most time. I played it for like 7 hours, Disco. And this is one of those games where you go into a run, you're in a dungeon, you're doing like Diablo style hacking and slashing and looting, and you get better and better every time you do a loop. And there is a clock that's winding down. when the clock reaches 0, your run dies. There is an option to turn off the clock, but the clock is really motivating you to make the most of what you're doing. And you are upgrading your character in so many ways. There are passive abilities, there are skill trees. There's going to be this constellation map in the full game that I haven't even seen yet. You have these relics that you hold on to. You're picking up things every single run and just getting better and better. And it's just addicting. It is just like numbers going up. It's seeing yourself destroy a boss in seconds that on your first run might have taken you 5 minutes. And now you just walk up to him, shoot a few bullets into him, and he's just gone. This is just my catnip. It's the kind of game I can play for hours and hours and not feel the time pass. So yeah, Hell Clock, I highly recommend to people who like action RPGs.
It reminds me of a game that I tried to pick as a secret game for this season. Spoiler alert, I didn't. It's called Curse of the Dead Gods.
Oh, I've heard of that.
I have that sitting on my shelf, and I've been looking for an excuse to play it, but I haven't found it yet. But yeah, this is very much reminding me of that.
Cool. Yeah, and I just love collecting loot in games, and it does the loot stuff in a super smart way. You pick up a lot of upgrades that only upgrade your character for that run, but as you pick up better stuff, it auto-equips the newest best thing, but then you also have persistent gear that stays with you run to run. So there's a good amount of resetting your progression and carrying on your progression that I just think is a balance I've never quite seen done this well in other games.
Cool. My last one, this is one that I didn't see in a showcase, but I saw on Bluesky at some point. It's called Bombshell Blitz. I mean, my reasons for wanting to play this are pretty simple. The character designs drew me in right away, and they're these like low poly, but also I guess I'm in my chibi phase. They're like low poly chibi girls, and they look really cool. But you're just in these like mechs, and it's a twin stick shooter in mechs, and your characters are low poly chibi people, and it looks like pretty mindless fun, I think. So that's as simple as it gets for me.
Is this like going into matches with other people? Is it level based? Do you know?
I don't know. I would assume it's level based. Like, yeah, you just pick a level, but yeah, I truly don't know.
Yeah, this looks super cool. This was not on my radar. And it has no date for the release date, but hopefully sooner rather than later. My last one is Mio Memories in Orbit. So this one we learned about in a showcase. I feel like it was a year, maybe more than a year ago, and then it got re-shown in a showcase or two recently. But the Steam description says, play as android Mio in this mesmerizing Metroidvania where you explore the vessel, an enormous technological ark overgrown with machines gone rogue, uncover its secrets, enhance Mio's abilities, and save the spaceship and its residents from oblivion. And I think this is just one of those games that you and I will both love. This is really appealing to your sci-fi, like robot interests. It's really appealing to both of our interests in Metroidvanias and just really artful 2.5D exploration games. The demo for this is quite impressive in that it lets you walk around a lot, and there is complexity to where you can walk. It's not quite linear in that demo, so you do some exploration and you really get the sense of that Metroidvania, let's figure out where to go and what this person is telling me and where I should go based on that, but not in a way that's frustrating. I had a lot of fun with this demo, and I think it's going to be scratching a little bit of the limbo itch, a little bit of the inside itch, those kinds of things, but then also, you know, our more traditional Metroidvania games that we love too. So yeah, it's super artful. It's beautiful. I love Mio already, and I want it.
It looks great, and I want Underplayed's tagline to be "scratching the inside itch" since 2022.
Yo. So anyway, yeah, those are the games we're looking forward to for now, and it's a non-exhaustive list.
I can pick another one. I had to cut my list, but
oh, you did?
Yeah, sure.
Oh well, if you want to share another one, go ahead.
Well, I already closed the window.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. We can move on.
I remember it actually. It's Scratch the Cat.
Oh,
But it's a lot of the same of like Big Catch, just another cool looking 3D platformer.
I think I might be aware of this. Scratch the Cat. I love that name. Yeah, we're in a 3D platforming renaissance right now. Yes, I think this is on my wish list. This looks super cool. This is like a DJ Cat.
Yeah, a lot of like musical instrumentation designs to the world, and yeah, it just looks pretty dope.
Nice. I'm always down for a 3D platformer.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, we're going to move on, but before we do, there are a few very easy ways to support Underplayed. They cost nothing, they take almost no time at all, and we would really appreciate you doing these things for us if you haven't already. First, give us a follow and a 5-star rating on podcast platforms like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. That makes us appear more consistently for both you and others. 2, you can follow us across social media. We have links in our show notes for that. And 3, sharing our podcast by reposting our stuff and telling your indie game loving friends about us means the world. And as always, we love you. Thank you for listening. It is time for our secret games.
Secret games.
Secret games.
I know you're playing without me.
Secret games.
Well, I'm here to tell you, baby.
Secret games.
I've been playing too.
Secret games.
In Secret Games, we're going to each review an indie game we've been playing secretly since our last episode. I don't know what DiscoCola has been playing. He doesn't know what I've been playing. And we're going to reveal right now what we've been playing and review these games. So we'll start with you, DiscoCola. Let the mystery be no more. Reveal your secret game for episode 79 of Underplayed.
My secret game this episode is a jam from Oscar Britton, and it's called Desert Child.
Once a dead man, always a dead man. Once a dead man, always a dead man. Believing that he's an animal he thinks he has the right to kill. How many out of my way so bad I can taste it?
Oh, yes, you mentioned this.
I did.
And
I mentioned
yeah.
this in the last episode,
Nice.
so that maybe threw you off. I don't know. But
No, I figured there was a chance it might be a secret game going forward, but I didn't want to assume anything. What was that first thing you said? It's a
jam.
It's a jam.
That's what it's called. He says it's a jam by Oscar. I think.
Oh, that's the developer. Okay,
yeah. What's the movie director?
I know what you're talking about. A joint.
Yes.
Oh, Spike Lee. It's
Yeah.
a Spike Lee joint.
Yes. That's
Yes.
I think the
Kind of got
inspiration here.
it.
So,
Okay, cool.
it's a jam by Oscar Britton called Desert Child and is published by Akupara. So for those out there that are familiar with the trailers, I sent Bopo the one that is the Cowboy Bebop trailer, essentially.
Yeah.
So that'll sound familiar.
Immediately reminiscent of that. I'm looking at it right now.
So I'm going to start with reading the Steam description, which I don't always do. But you are a hungry young hoverbike racer who needs to get off Earth before it explodes. Hunt bounties, throw races, and do whatever you can to get to Mars and win the Grand Prix. So as that says, we're a young hoverbike rider. I don't really remember if we have a name. If we do, it's mentioned maybe 1 or 2 times pretty early on. When we start, we have little more than our hoverbike. We might have a little bit of cash in our pocket. So early on, it's up to us to win as many bike races as possible to earn enough money to get to Mars where opportunities are more plentiful. As we race, our literal hunger in our belly rises, and we also receive damage to our hoverbikes unless maybe you're like a perfect racer. So in between races, we have to decide how much of our winnings to spend on food and how much of our winnings we spend on repairing our hoverbike, if at all. Both our bodies and our hoverbikes being in good condition also improves our race performance. So early on, you do have to strike that balance there to decide how much of your money to spend on what.
So would you foremost call this a racing game? It's kind of where my mind's going.
Yeah, I think so. You could potentially call it an RPG, not in the like JRPG turn-based style sense, but
Yeah. What game doesn't have RPG elements these
right.
days.
Yeah.
But you're also shooting a lot of things.
Yes. First and foremost, as far as like input goes, you are doing the most work in the racing sections.
Mm-hmm.
But there's still, I think you're spending most of your time outside of races, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. Yeah. It's like when it's interactive, it's hella interactive.
Yeah.
Like you're putting in a lot of inputs.
Yes. That's a good way, I think, to put it. But anyways, once we get to chapter 2, which is getting to Mars, a few new elements are introduced, including our ability to take jobs. So this could include testing an experimental laser, or hacking Mars Bank, or even herding kangaroos.
I'm seeing that in the trailer right
yeah.
now. Yeah.
Some of these jobs, like hacking the bank, are clearly illegal. So the more illegal jobs you do, the higher the notoriety you receive.
Ooh.
And from what I can tell, what this does in practice is make you more likely to be stopped by the police. I don't know what effect it plays other than that, but you do get a trophy for getting a certain level of high notoriety, and I didn't get that trophy yet.
Okay,
So,
you're goody two-shoes so far.
well, I wasn't trying to be, but I got, when you get stopped by the cops, if you fail to escape from them, they take all the money that you have on hand. So
Ooh.
that happened to me twice, and I was like,
Ooh.
I'm just gonna not focus on
Gonna
that
not
right
do that,
now. And then the last thing of note is that while exploring the streets of Mars, you can sometimes encounter another parked hover bike, and you can attempt to steal a bike part from that bike. And stealing depends on success in a quick mini game. So if you look at the trailer and you see 4 different numbers scrolling through, kind of like a bike lock.
Yes, I did see that.
That will be the mini game that you're playing to attempt to steal the bike part. But from there, you equip and unequip bike parts onto your hover bike to make races easier, and you can upgrade bike parts in certain ways. And you just do the best you can to earn as much money as you can to enter the Grand Prix and win the Grand Prix on Mars. And that is your win condition for the game.
Okay.
So to move on into stuff that I like about Desert Child, I bought this game because of the art style. It's a pixel art game, but minimal on colors. And usually I'm not into the pixel art with just this like minimal or no shading. But I actually found this game to be really attractive from start to finish, basically. In general, I think racing feels pretty good. I love balancing speed, dodging obstacles most of the time, and shooting from my bike and boosting to the finish line and from side to side. Yeah, just controlling the bike feels really good throughout the race.
Yeah, you're like moving on the y-axis a lot. So it's that perspective. It's like side-scrolling.
Yeah, it's side-scrolling, but you have a lot of field to work with. And so you're staying out of the way of the other racer because they also can shoot at you and slow you down and damage your bike. But you also want to spend most of the race ahead of them because you get more points that way. And you want to try and earn as much money drops on the race as you can. So you're really doing a big balancing act, all the while, of course, dodging obstacles that are a part of the racetrack, which can be agonizing at times.
It looks chaotic.
It can get chaotic depending on the racetrack, especially. I do like that we have to keep track of hunger and bike damage. It adds character and purpose to walking the streets, which would otherwise just be much more tedious if you don't have to keep track of your hunger. It's like, well, I only have like 9% hunger, so I'm not going to go to the ramen shop. I'm going to go eat some beans in the market. Or my bike's only a little bit damaged. I'm not going to take it to the good repair mechanic. I'm going to take it to the alcoholic with his belly hanging out that's going to charge me a little bit less.
It does seem like the in-between race parts are how this game becomes like really dynamic with just player choice.
Yeah.
I really like that.
Yeah. I like that this game feels gritty without being in your face the way that I think a Sludge World might be.
Like Sludge Life.
Sludge Life, sorry. Yeah. So this is probably a little bit more on my level than Sludge Life as far as like grittiness and like...
It seems tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. I like the way that most of the map is connected and circular in Chapter 2 in a way that wasn't immediately clear to me, but once I did figure it out, everything felt within reach. If I wanted to get from the good bike repair shop to the bridge over the docks, that felt accessible because everything was interconnected in a way. So
nice.
I could take different routes to get to different places. So maybe if I wanted to buy a record on the way, I could take this secondary route and go around and get to the bridge at the end.
Yeah.
And then speaking of records, easily and much to my surprise, my supremely favorite thing about this game is the music. Most of the music here is like licensed tracks, and they all rule, as well as all of the original music in the game. It's amazing. There's even one of the records, or in this case, it's a cassette tape that you can buy, is a Joe Rogan parody podcast that you can add to your track rotation, and it's hilarious. I'll also note that there's a musical track on here that features the same philosopher that we heard in the game Everything.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So I have the trailer in my earball, and I can kind of hear that.
And that's that guy.
Wow.
Yeah. That's
like, incredible.
When I first heard that, I was like, I wonder if that's that guy. And I was streaming at the time too. So I Googled it and I was like, Everything philosopher. And it was like, sure enough, it was the same guy.
Wow.
So I don't know that one influenced the other, but it was just like, that's heck yeah.
You're slowly playing the gameography of this guy's appearances, and I'm here for it.
Yeah. But yeah, at the end of the season, I'm going to have a really hard time picking between the music in this and voice acting in Slay the Princess for favorite soundscape.
Oh my gosh, yeah, and we're only 2 episodes
I know,
deep.
yeah, this music,
we're in trouble.
This music is really good. There's
A darling will have to be killed.
I'm gonna
is
pull
what
up.
You're saying.
Yes, for sure. A darling will be slayed. Slain. No, there's one song in particular.
A darling will be deserted. I don't know. Desert.
Good try.
Yeah.
There's this one, and Mega Ran works on it, and it's called "Love Is Here." It's from Mega Ran, Bag of Tricks, Eluna, and Jared the Alien. And this is like...
That's one of the original soundtrack
This
songs,
is one of the
or
licensed tracks.
Licensed tracks. Okay.
Yeah, but it's incredible. I've been listening to it so much since I played this game. I'm going to move on to stuff that I didn't like so much. I did say for the most part, having the map interconnected on Mars is pretty nice. But I don't really like walking around the streets of Mars. Your character does move really slow. And sometimes getting from the good bike repair shop to the bridge on the docks, that's still a pretty good distance. So if I had I could do just a brief 3-second jog, like how some people do when they're like, I'm kind of running late for something.
Sure,
and they just do a quick little save 2.5 seconds.
That's actually a pet peeve of mine because I look at that and I go what are you actually doing?
Just saving 2.5 seconds.
I guess, but okay.
But think of it in terms of walking around the streets of Mars and Desert Child. Maybe that will help you.
Sure. Yeah. It helps me visualize for sure.
But anyway, it's a pretty dang slow walk. I wish I could just move a little bit faster. Of course, if you have high notoriety, you don't want to look like you're running away from something. But
true.
It's just a little slow. Certain racing tracks really, really suck, and I'm thinking specifically of the one that is over water and has waves as an obstacle, because it has waves, but it also has the drones that are shooting at you that every racetrack has, and it also has rocks that are sticking out everywhere.
It looks like it has rain too.
Yeah, it's my least favorite racetrack, and I don't actually know that it is specifically harder than any of the other ones, but it slowed me down the most. And then my biggest complaint, but it's a pretty big complaint, is that most everything is given to you without any specific directions. In general, this can be kind of a good and enriching thing, especially in modern gaming. But I'm thinking specifically of some of the jobs you take. The game doesn't even tell you what the win or loss condition is. And I'm going to bring it up again. Hacking the bank doesn't give you any instructions. And it's kind of to the point where
shoot.
like Googling it yields the result, how do you hack the bank? And many of the sources offering, I don't really know, but it seems like if you have more money in your own bank, you earn more. But again, I don't really understand it.
Yeah.
So like that's kind of what you get when you Google it. And
No one knows.
right. And it's more than just this one, but I did have to Google how to do many of these different like special jobs just to see how to do them. And when the ones that do have answers say this is how you do it, I'm like, how would I have known that? How would I have gathered that after, failing 3 or 4 times even? Anyways, Desert Child was a game that didn't really capture me right away, but once I made it to Mars, and by that I mean once I was able to expand my soundtrack, I really started to fall in love. Balancing jobs for hire with notoriety and racing is actually pretty fun. It's pretty cool to look at, and the music is absolutely incredible. The greatest drawback in what was otherwise a very enjoyable experience is the very strong lack of literal directions in some of these special jobs. As such, I place this as an 8.0 out of 10.
Awesome. Well, I've wanted to play this for a while. It's actually in my backlog because, like we said recently on our show, this game frequently goes on sale. So I did pick it up one time, and I think I have it on PlayStation. So, you're 2 for 2 with having secret games that I just really want to play. I don't know if this will top the last one, but it's up there. It's up there. So I want to catch up with this.
I think you would like it to a point, but I still think Moncage is definitely more of a Bopo game.
Yeah, I think I'm super excited for that. I did buy Moncage in the Steam Summer Sale.
Hey, there you go. So you're
I've got
ready
the first
to go.
step. I've got the first step done. It was like 30% off is all, but I mean, it was like
it's a pretty cheap game to start.
It's not
I think.
bad.
Yeah.
It's not bad. So is Desert Child really 2 chapters where it's just pre-Mars and then Mars?
It's pre-Mars and then chapter 3 is the Grand Prix, which does play a little bit differently, but it's chapter 2 is where you're spending most of your time, I would say.
Because the way you were saying like pre-Mars and then being on Mars, it almost felt like just music-wise, it was reminding me of like an A-side and a B-side to a record or something.
That's a good way to think of it. Yeah. The Grand Prix, honestly, I won't say that I could have like lived without it in the game necessarily, because you do need a conclusion. But like as far as what it adds to the game, doesn't even match like parts 1 and 2.
Okay.
Specifically part 2.
Gotcha.
So.
And then when you finish a race, is that race done and you can only move on from there, or can you replay, or is there like an arcade mode where you can just jump in and do races wherever you want?
You can just do races whenever you want, no entry fee, and it's literally a way for you to grind away at money, basically.
Gotcha. Okay, so there is so most players will probably end up doing that.
Yeah, and I will note here that when you do select to do just a standard race, there is a 2-player option.
Whoa.
So I don't know what that looks like in practice, but I would imagine it's just instead of probably not 2 of you against an NPC, I imagine the second player takes control of that NPC.
Oh, okay. Got it. Yeah. Or you're like both controlling one speeder bike, like you move, I shoot or something,
Octodad rules.
It's randomizing who has what job every race.
But yeah, for the most part, standard races have no fanfare. Your racer that you're racing against has no name. It's just grinding money.
Got it. Cool. Well, where can you play Desert Child?
So Desert Child can be played on Linux, PC, Mac, PS4, which is where I played it, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch.
Sweet. We are going to move on to My Secret Game. My Secret Game is also a game that grabbed me because of its visuals. And then I sort of discovered what it's about. My secret game is called Mothmen 1966.
I haven't heard of this one.
I don't think this is one of my better known secret games, but Mothmen 1966 is a 2022 interactive fiction game developed by LCB Game Studio and published by Chorus Worldwide. The game synopsis from Steam says, quote, Mothmen 1966 is a pixel pulp, a visual novel fusing exceptional writing and stunning illustration inspired by mid-20th century pulp fiction and 80s home computer graphics set amongst the strange occurrences of the Leonid meteor shower of 1966, end quote. So this game feels like a comic book. It feels like a classic text adventure meets a comic book, meets, like a pulpy 80s adventure. And this is a text-based narrative adventure with still pictures that will show up alongside the text. And the art is pixel-based. There is a very strong emphasis on blue and green colors in the color palette. You'll see that along with like white and black, but blue and green is informing the look. And that's really what drew my eye to this, is how it looks. And there are also touches of red, I'll say, to accentuate things.
I'm counting here, looking pixel by pixel here, and it seems like there's less than 8 colors going on. It might even be less than 6.
Yeah, it is super minimal, and it's very focused on what colors it's using. And I think the blue and greens particularly, they really add to this like paranormal feeling. That selection is, I think, intentional. And this takes place, as you could tell, in 1966 during this meteor shower that takes place every 33 years. And along with this meteor shower, strange phenomena start happening. The story focuses on 4 main characters, 3 of which you control throughout the game. There's Lee and Victoria. They are history students who are in a relationship, and they're seeing the meteor shower on a date. There's Holt, a gas station owner, and then there's Lou, the paranormal researcher and writer who starts investigating what's going on. And these winged beasts start appearing and attacking people, and the entire story takes place over one night as the characters try to figure out what's going on and how to survive. This is a pulp fiction story with many fantastical elements at play. There are backstories informing the characters and their intentions, and you slowly unravel those. And being a text adventure, you're reading the story, but you're also making dialogue choices when characters can choose what to say. You also make choices about what characters might do in a given situation. And if you make the wrong choice, sometimes characters could die, resulting in a restart of that scenario. And there are other non-violent interactions. You'll see in the trailer, you might see like a modified version of solitaire. You might see someone rearranging things on shelves. And some of those instances have a connection to the story as well. And the game takes place over 10 chapters. The whole thing amounts to about 2 hours of story and gameplay. So each chapter is pretty dang short. Some of them are just a few minutes long. And each chapter is from the perspective of one of the characters. So you might be playing as Lee one chapter, then you'll play as Holt, and then you'll play as Victoria in another chapter. So it changes all the time. And this is the first of a series of adventure games from LCB Game Studio called the Pixel Pulp series. So you can play these other games called Varney Lake and Bonson Nights. And all 3 of these games share some kind of a connection. I don't know if it's a universe. I don't know if it's subtle hints from one game to the next. I haven't played the other 2, but I do want to play the other 2 soon so that I can kind of understand what's going on. And then also LCB Game Studio released Grizzly Man this year or last year. I think it's another pixel pulp.
December of 2024.
Okay, so late last year. Thank you for looking that up. So Grizzly Man is, I think, their 4th game in this style. So, and every game has a different story with different characters. But Mothmen 1966 is the first one. I was actually going to play Bonson Nights for this episode, and I started looking into it more. And I was seeing more about how Bonson Nights is the 3rd pixel pulp game. And I'm like, maybe I don't want to play them out of order. Maybe I want to start with the first one chronologically. So that's why I'm going with Mothmen. And what I really liked about this game was the style. The moody illustration really catches your eye. I think this is visually arresting pixel work. There are shots in this game where you'll see someone looking at something. You'll see maybe a surprise will happen, and the way the characters are illustrated is just very expressive. There are strong moments of tension. I think a lot of that comes out in the style of the visuals. The story weaves together a pretty layered yarn that I liked uncovering. So characters have those backstories. They have secrets that you learn. They have motivations. This also works in a paranormal sense where this pulpy story has like paranormal things going on, and there are many layers to it. It's not just there are these creatures flying around. There's a lot more, actually. And some of it doesn't make sense, but I don't think it needs to make sense. You know, it's like one of those kinds of stories where I'm okay if like the why or the how isn't explained. It's really just what is going on. For instance, like there are these men in black suits that show up and say mysterious things. There's this idea of, this is going to be just a slight spoiler, but I'm not saying how it happens or, you know, who it happens to, but there's this idea of intrafamilial possession. I'll just leave it at that. There are references to the Civil War, the American Civil War as well. So you might look at all these ideas and you might think, how does that all weave together? It all happens within the span of 2 hours somehow, and it all really works. I think this is really well written. The characters are written with panache. Each one is distinct. I also really liked the achievement lists. There's an achievement for collecting all the deaths. So like our instinct is to not die, but there's actually on PlayStation, for instance, there's a trophy for just finding all 7 ways you can die.
I think that's fun. That's like House. It's like why you play the game House.
Yes. And sometimes you make a choice not knowing that that's going to lead to a death. Sometimes you definitely can tell, like maybe you're running from something and someone tells you to go left and you select right. You're going to die, you know? So I like that it sort of telegraphs things, but also leaves things mysterious. And then also like making certain dialogue choices will give you an achievement too. And that's really fun. And then when I get to dislikes, I would say that when this game gets interactive, when it's time for you to not just make dialogue choices where you're scrolling through a list, but when you're actually given a little puzzle to do, those moments are a little tedious to control. You need to select all these text prompts to narrow down what you want to do. I'll give you an example of this. There's a puzzle where you need to rotate squares in a grid. It's a grid of like 3x3 squares, and you have to select which row you want to look at, and then you have to select which column you want to look at, and then you have to select rotate left or right. You can't just move a cursor over to the piece and press different buttons to rotate it. You're always using these text prompts to select what you do.
Oh, it's really dedicated to the style in that sense.
It is.
To a fault, maybe.
Maybe to a fault. That's a great way to put it. I think it's really committing to the throwback style, which I super respect, but it sometimes, as a side effect, leads to these moments where you're doing lots of inputs to achieve what you want to do, which could, in a more modern way, be achieved with just 1 or 2 button presses. Sometimes you're doing like 6 or 7.
Yeah.
So it takes a while. And then choices don't seem to be too impactful in this game to me. Deaths result in this immediate retry screen with no repercussions. So if I mess up, if I don't get a good sense of how to handle a situation and a character dies, it's not like the story keeps going. I'm forced to just retry or quit. And so this idea of choose your own adventure, which is one of the Steam tags, is not really playing out in that way. It's really just like, oh, you messed up the story. We got to get the story back on track. So there's just not as much depth there as you might think. And then the soundscape is pretty bare. There's not a lot of music in the game. There is a chapter early on that uses music to great effect, but then I didn't hear music after that, really. There are some moments where there's some like cliffhangers at the ends of chapters, and there's a really dramatic piece of music that will play as the scene fades out, and I love that feeling. But otherwise, you're mostly just listening to this text scrolling sound that gets repetitive. So I think there were just more opportunities to use music or use sound effects, use cues to give the chapters some flair. But overall, Mothmen 1966 was an entertaining and short sit. It sort of feels like narrative junk food in the best way. It's written really well. It's not my favorite game to control, but I'm excited to see how it connects to the other Pixel Pulp games. And I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10.
Perfect.
It's playable on PC, Mac, Switch, PS4, which is the version I played, PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series. So it's a super short, pretty straightforward game. Not a lot to say. One of those secret games of mine.
Yeah. I don't know that I have a lot of questions, really. The one point that I was a little bit curious about, you sort of answered, it's like, oh, we're more focused on just getting the story back on track rather than a lot of branching paths.
Yeah.
Because, like, you have a lot of choices in the game, but it's not leading to, like, an Until Dawn, series of outcomes.
I was hoping for Until Dawn a little bit more.
Okay.
Yeah. That's
not to reference non-indie games too often here,
but we've played lots of games like this where we make a choice, and no matter what happens, we keep on keeping on with this story that we've now maybe made unique to ourselves, that no one else will quite see this way. It's not quite that deep, and I think I'm fine with that. If I go into the other games knowing that that's the case, I'm there to absorb the writing and the vibes. That's mainly what I'm going into these for now.
Cool. Well, I think this game came out at a good time for a game like this to come out, because it has the chance to catch some of those, like, Stranger Things sort of vibes and get people interested in an older style of game that would potentially be featured in Stranger Things.
Yes, this is appealing to that crowd. This is like your Stranger Things fans, your Fear Street fans might get something out of this.
And then you have the anthology sort of storytelling too.
Yeah.
So you've got like American Horror Story too.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm going to, I don't know if I will pick Varney Lake and Bonson Nights as secret games. We'll see, but I'll try to play them somewhat soon and then maybe report back. So those are our secret games, Desert Child and Mothmen 1966. Let's move on to our review of Sable. It is our featured game. Sable is a 2021 open-world exploration game. It was developed by Shedworks and published by Raw Fury. The game synopsis from the Steam storefront reads, quote, embark on a unique and unforgettable... Whoa. Embark on a... it says an unique. That's throwing me off.
Interesting.
That was copied from the Steam store.
Yeah,
an unique.
Huh.
Quote, embark on an unique and unforgettable journey. I'm keeping all this in, by the way.
Okay, good.
Embark on an unique and unforgettable journey and guide Sable through her gliding, a rite of passage that will take her across vast deserts and mesmerizing landscapes, capped by the remains of spaceships and ancient wonders. This game takes place on Midden, a mostly desert planet, which is split into several regions. We play as Sable, a member of the nomadic Ibex tribe. And as Sable comes of age, she must partake in a solo ritual called the Gliding, where she has to leave her tribe temporarily to see the world, help its inhabitants, and gain masks. And masks are a big part of how people associate in this place. And it was something that Disco used in his intro at the top of the episode very cleverly.
Thank you.
You see a lot of masks in this game. When Sable has helped enough people with a certain category of tasks, she will obtain a mask for maybe a faction or maybe for like a kind of profession or a cause. And after a certain number of tasks are completed in this game, you can choose to end your gliding and return home to your camp. And the goal of the game is to explore the world, interact with many people, solve puzzles, and learn more about the lore of the planet.
Perfect. And then as far as controls, Sable can do quite a lot. So this is, you could call it a platform. No, not really. It's an exploration game. There's no like floating platforms
Right.
per se.
You're jumping, you can climb.
You can jump, you can climb. Climbing runs on a stamina meter, as well as your sprint. You have access to a short little sprint. Your stamina meter can be increased through completing certain activities. You gain access to gliding, and this is going to play a big part in your traversal, as well as jumping and climbing. By holding down your glide button, you just slowly fall to the ground in whatever direction you decide to move. You can choose to turn it off and on, intermittently as you fall, and in effect looks a lot like a bubble as you're falling.
It does, yeah.
You gain access to a hover bike pretty early on, and you can ride your hover bike around the planet and traverse all of these areas in any order that you wish to. There's no true barrier to accessing one specific area, as far as I recall.
Yeah, I think you can just go to any of the 7 regions from the jump. Once you're done with the intro area, like it's called the Ewer, or just Ewer is the name of your region that the Ibex tribe is in. Once you're done with some introductory sort of tutorial missions, the whole world opens up, and I think you can just go anywhere.
Yeah, as soon as you hear the song Glider,
That's right.
the world is
That's
your
your
oyster.
cue. As soon as you see the title card, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can use this a little bit less, but you can grab objects. Certain objects are interactable, and you can grab them. You can also throw them with a very pithy, tiny little, just like a.
Yeah.
Can basically like
About as far as I could throw.
drop
the
it
things.
with a small arc is more like it.
Yes.
You can place markers on your map. You can do this in the overworld if you choose to. I believe it's like
L1 or something.
L1
Yeah.
on a PlayStation controller. You get this like little reticle. Sable's like looking at her device in her hand, and she's like looking out in the distance and sort of like dropping this reticle down
Yeah.
like a pin on a map.
Yes.
And it's really cool. But you can also do it from the map screen by like looking at your map and like zooming in and scrolling over to where you want to place. I might be interested in traveling here. And
Yeah.
you have access to like 13 markers at any given time, I believe.
And for people's reference, not to mention yet another AAA game this episode, but the newer Zelda games, the open world ones, like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, they let you do a lot of the things that Disco's describing. So like the stamina, the climbing, the gliding, the map markers, the actual in-world placing a map marker, that stuff happens in the new Zelda games. And I think this game came out in 2021. I think there's a chance. When did Breath of the Wild?
It was before that, but not like a ton.
It was 2017
Oh.
that Breath of the Wild came out. And I think there's a good chance this game took inspiration from some of these things, because I played 50 hours of Breath of the Wild. I played 120 hours of Tears of the Kingdom. And as I was playing Sable this past few weeks, I was like, okay, yeah, this is giving those games. And I think it's probably taking things from other open world games too, but that's a really quick way to explain, like, these are the mechanics going on.
Thank you.
It's some things
Yeah.
you see in some popular games, I think.
I think those two games specifically are something that many of our listeners have played, and I haven't, so I appreciate the reference there. And then something else Sable can do is you can change your clothes, so you'll be able to buy different garb from different storefronts or just people in general, and you'll be able to sort of like match the clothes of other tribes or other sort of professions. You can change your mask as you earn masks, which again is the key point of the game, is to find different masks and collect by performing tasks that coincide with those masks. And you can also customize your bike with different bike parts, and you can also find different color palettes throughout the world, whether that's purchasing them from storefronts or finding them in the wild. There's treasure chests too that will give you scrap metal or just some, what's the name of the currency in this?
Oh,
Cuts.
Cuts.
You'll be
yes.
able to find cuts.
I
which
love
is the
that.
in-game
I love
currency.
that name for a currency.
Yeah. That's all I wrote down. I'm probably missing something, but
Yeah.
I tried to like literally sit down with my controller in my hand. It was like, okay, I can do this, 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 and this with this button.
Right.
So I was like, I made a list based on that.
A lot of what I was doing was constantly going into my quest journal.
Mm-hmm.
I was going in there, seeing what I have activated. You pick up quests every time you go into an encampment in a new region. Someone needs help. A lot of quests have to do with fetching things. You might have to go fetch like 3 beetles that are a very specific species, and they'll tell you where to go.
Right. Yeah, I would say that this pause screen in Sable reminds me a lot of the pause screen in Haven.
Oh, yes.
But more effective.
Yes, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly.
You can access all your different items. You can change your clothes in there. And yeah, the quest log is the really big one because you can highlight a different quest that you want to focus on, and that'll change the markers on the map if there are markers to be had in that
sometimes
quest.
there aren't.
Sometimes there aren't.
Yeah, well,
maybe that will be mentioned
maybe that will
later.
be mentioned by both of us later. Amazing. Well, so when it comes to history and significance, I don't know that there's a lot to say here. I do know that Sable was one of the monthly PlayStation Plus games. That's what put it on some people's radars. It was nominated for Best Debut Indie Game at the Game Awards 2021. It got other nominations for the Golden Joystick Awards and the DICE Awards. But yeah, this is a game that I've just heard a lot of people talk about, and it has appealed to us for a long time. I think particularly you. You were the one who picked this for this season.
I've been looking forward to Sable for a super long time. If you just look at Sable herself, there's a lot of like Hyperlight Drifter vibes just by looking at her. So it was like
Totally.
I've been signed on for a long time, and then found out that the music was done by Japanese Breakfast, and I was like, oh, I remember Bopo bringing that in during our old radio show.
Yeah, our radio show days. Yeah, I used to play them. Yeah.
And looked into the music, and like that song was just like, oh, yes. So I've got like Hyperlight Drifter Lady and Cool Desert Hover Bike and freaking Japanese Breakfast. Like, sign me up.
Yeah, it was a great combination. And going into this, I didn't really know what it looked like. I knew it was an open world game. That's about it. I didn't even know that there wasn't combat. Right?
I expected combat, and I also didn't expect it to be quite so open world. Like I kind of expected a little bit more barrier.
Yeah,
just in
maybe
general,
a little bit more linearity.
A linear path.
It is both open-ended in terms of where you can go, and just open world in that the world is big. Like it's large.
Yes.
There's a lot of square footage in this game. And now, Disco, after playing it, what are your overarching thoughts?
Yeah, so overall, Sable was a game that I've been looking forward to for a long time, like I said, and didn't meet my expectations, but not necessarily in the way that I think the game was bad, just that I didn't necessarily know what the game was going to be, and so that surprised me, but I did come away with something new. This game is now on the list of games that changed my DNA.
Whoa.
And it's maybe not like the most profound change, but it's an important change, and I'll get to that.
Okay.
But overall, I loved the look of the world, and I don't necessarily mean like the art style. I do think that this like cel-shaded art style is good, but I just think the clothes and the gliders and the buildings and the machines, they all have cool and interesting designs, and even like some of the mask designs are like, never in a million years scribbling on, some scratch paper would I have ever designed something that looked like that.
And I'm not convinced, not even half of them are like practical in their design, but they look really cool and very distinct.
Most of them, I think, would be like, how can you, what, are you alive under there? Like,
well, we kind of mentioned this, but everybody in this world wears a mask.
Yeah, no one has a face.
You don't see any human faces, I don't think.
Yeah.
I mean, you see like the big like statue faces. Those are human-like. But you're talking to people wearing masks. And so that stuff needs to be really detailed and also diverse because you're talking to so many different factions.
Yeah. And eventually, I think once I saw people with the climbing mask, it was like, whoa, that's when the diversity of masks really struck me. Because like before that, you're looking at ones that have kind of like traditional Earth tribal sort of design elements, like the circular eyes, or like a skull kind of mouth or like an animal skull kind of mouth kind of thing or horns. But once I saw that climbing mask, I was like, oh my, things get weird. And like the cartographer's mask
is
weird.
wild.
Yeah.
Like you almost think you're talking to a different species at first.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I do like that every area of the game has those like one or two things in common, speaking of the cartographer, but it also like totally has its own identity visually. So if you think it's like Cornifer and Hollow Knight, there's always like a Cornifer somewhere, there's always a cartographer, but at the same time, reaching the cartographer requires you to traverse obstacles that are specific to that area.
Yeah, you might be climbing on a big skeleton of a big creature. You might just be floating to a bunch of big rocks jutting up out of the ground.
You'll climb up to this like rotating circle of who knows what interesting machinery that seems to float.
Yeah.
Just really cool stuff. I like the marker system on the map. This is one of my favorite map marker systems. And I don't just mean like the markers that you put down, but one of the things that I've seen complaints about in games is complaints about waypoints. And that's something that I never personally understood. I'm like, please give me a waypoint. Like, I love waypoints. I want to know exactly where I'm going.
So the complaint you hear is that there are waypoints?
Yeah. There was like a period of time where people would complain about a game giving you a waypoint because it was like, stop holding my hand. It was like, no, I want to enjoy the game and still get in the right direction without getting, too far off track in this huge world.
Yeah. And then also in a lot of open world games, I feel like if you don't like the waypoint, just don't look at it.
Yeah.
Too.
Right.
So I don't understand that, but okay.
But anyways, like when you have your quest selected, it basically gives you a waypoint. And I think this is great. I love it. And it's the way it's handled is nice because even if you don't like the waypoint, you specifically can turn it off and just not hit your L1 button to see where you're going. But I love it. I think it's great.
I think it is necessary in this game. It's very necessary. Sorry.
And then speaking of, I like the quest list in this pause menu, having all of your quests in one spot, but choosing which one you really want to focus on to stay oriented in the right direction. I think that's a great way to keep on top of your tasks, and it became super helpful. I found myself also where I was in a spot where it's like, okay, I finished that one quest for that one person, but they're in the area that looked like this, and I need to get to that area. So which area was that again? So many times I would be able to even use completed quests in my list, be like, oh, right, okay, because I got this quest from this place, and I need to go back there because there's still stuff I haven't done there before.
That's smart. I didn't do that.
I needed it because I was like all over the place in this game.
The quests are very good at giving you contextual information about maybe you need to go talk to 3 different people. After you talk to those 3 people, their little subtask line gets crossed out or faded out or whatever, but you can see what you learned from each person. It's specifically calling out what each of those 3 people gave to you.
So that helped me in cases where it was like, okay, I delivered these beetles to that station. I don't remember what station that was, but there was a lot of stuff I didn't do there. So it was like, I need to go back there. And I did use my completed quests to figure that out. Speaking of areas and maps, I do think the quick travel system is greatly appreciated. Even if I did forget that it was there for 2/3 of my playthrough.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah, totally.
I was using that constantly.
I was driving everywhere.
You were?
Mad driving.
Wow, you're driving yourself, Matt.
Yes, sir. But it's also a helpful way to reset your hover bike. In Sable, you can whistle for your hover bike.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it won't come to you.
Yeah.
Or
it gets stuck.
It gets stuck or just won't show up for whatever reason. But if you quick travel to someplace, that'll just reset your hover bike.
That is very nice.
So sometimes I would quick travel to one place and then quick travel back to where I was. And I'll just be like, okay,
smart.
now I have my bike.
Yep.
I love that at least on PlayStation 5, it makes use of controller vibration rumble to help you find chum eggs. And this is one of the... I didn't notice
this.
Yeah.
I did notice the rumble features. I noticed the haptics going on, especially when running on the sand and stuff. I thought that felt amazing, but tell me how the chum eggs work.
So as you get in proximity to a chum egg, your controller vibrates, and chum eggs are a collectible in this game.
Yes.
And you'll get a slight vibration in your controller as you're in proximity
I didn't
to one.
notice that. I probably did feel it. I just didn't register that as being because of that collectible.
It took me a little while to notice it, but once I did notice it, I was like, how did I even...
I love that.
I never... Because that task seemed overwhelming in such a big world. I was like, how am I ever going to find all these chum eggs? And spoiler, I didn't find all of them yet.
Right.
I haven't tried that hard.
How many have you found? Do you know?
I'm between the 60 and 80 mark.
Oh, okay. You found more than I have. I've found like 47, and I know that my next task is to find 60 total. Or there's a trophy for getting 60, right? So that's really all I care about. But I do know that there are at least 160 total
Oh my God.
in the game. Hold on,
really?
because I searched this up one night. How many chum eggs in Sable? According to Fandom, this says 165
Oh my
across the map.
God.
So trophy hunters only need to get a fraction of them if they just want the trophy.
Well, I think
But then there's you.
Well, you also get a chum mask, which doesn't happen at 60. So you're going to need more than 60, I believe, if you want to because there's
all the stuff.
a trophy, I think, for getting the mask too.
Oh, there is?
I think so.
Okay, I thought that was for just getting to 60. Okay, then I'm in it. We're in this.
I don't know if you have to get all 165. I cannot believe that.
I'll try to look into this as you keep going.
So anyways, the vibrations for the chum eggs are really helpful. However, at the same time, and this is not even going to register as a true complaint, but there are a lot of other things that cause vibration in your controller. So if you're talking about the place with the lightning, where your controller is almost constantly vibrating, if there's chum eggs around there, forget about it.
Oh, sure.
I'm going to have to use my eyes. But
to obtain the chum mask in Sable, you need to collect 100 chum eggs.
100. That seems much more manageable.
Yeah.
But still kind of bogus.
I'm not even halfway. Yeah. I'm going to have to pull up a map like I did with
Infamous.
The blast shards in Infamous. I infamously had to give up on getting that platinum for like 13 years.
Yep.
Because I couldn't find one blast shard, and I just gave up.
I'm going to be in the same boat.
And then years later, I did get the platinum. I started a new save, and I found all
it's easier
400
to start
of
a
them.
new save at that point.
Yes, I was convinced that my previous save was glitched or something.
Anyways, still in the section, despite that detour into misery.
Yeah, sorry.
I did love finding and climbing the crashed ships. That was a great joy in the game. Probably my favorite. Not necessarily because it was the puzzle platformer section of the game, but just, I don't know, gave me a context to the world that felt different, that felt foreign, it felt alien.
Yes.
And it was a cool little detour into something different.
Yeah, you're discovering something that no one else in this world will discover.
Yeah.
Because you're a scavenger, you're an explorer, you're on this mission, and it just feels special. It feels super special finding those.
That being said, some of the puzzle platforming that did happen in there was pretty cool.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
That's not what I fell in love with. And then I mentioned this at the top. This game gave me a really important life-changing perspective. So growing up, you have a lot of people that you grow up with, a lot of peers. They'll be like, oh, I can't wait to get out of here. Or, this place is a small town. It's just I need to go out and see the world. I need to go find my purpose. I need to go find myself or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, until just last week, that was a perspective that I was just I never really understood that. I was just I never understood why it was such this driving force, why people couldn't find happiness where they were, right? But Sable made me realize that I was very lucky to always know what my purpose was.
Wow.
From a very young age, I always knew that I was going to be a dad. I wanted to be a dad. That was going to be my thing. And because I knew that, I was always able to find happiness where I was. Like
Wow.
my purpose came from the company I was with. It didn't matter, like going out and seeing the world didn't matter to me. Going out and finding myself didn't have any meaning because I already knew what I wanted.
Wow.
And I realized that not everybody has that, because when I got to the point in Sable where it said, you can return home now and choose your mask, I was like, I'm nowhere near ready to do that. Not because I wanted to complete the game, but because I still wanted to see the world. There was still so much I hadn't seen yet. And like, I knew the parts up to that point that I had enjoyed the most, and that was climbing and exploring the ships. And what I expected to like the most was beetles, because I love bugs so much.
Mhm.
And it wasn't even close. And
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not ready to go home. I'm not ready to put on what I'm going to wear for the rest of my life. Like, I still need to go find myself as Sable.
They do make it feel like a huge decision, but also a decision that doesn't give me a lot of pressure because it's up to me. I
Yeah.
get to choose when I go back. And at a certain point, I did go back just because the amount of effort to go searching for more factions and quests and things was maybe greater than my desire to just see the credits and just know that I finished the game. But then I did go back and I kept exploring. And that's beautiful. That sounds like you got something out of this that told you a lot about yourself and also about other people. Like
Yeah.
like you understand why people have said that in a way that's not maybe as blunt as how you've heard it so
Mhm.
many times in your life.
Yeah.
Like, I need to get away. I want to get out of here. There's a deeper meaning to that,
Right.
for a lot of people.
And so I do get it now. And I do still think that people can find happiness where they are. And I do still think that like the company of people is going to make the biggest difference in your life, as opposed to like a geographical location, probably. But
Yeah.
anyways, it brought that perspective to me that I didn't have and struggled for more than 30 years to like really get the point of. But I do get it now. And like what you said, there are a couple of those masks that I'm just like, eventually I'll do this only for completion because I'm not interested in it. I'm not interested in what it means, and the effort it takes to acquire it is work.
Yeah. And
But-
there's some stuff that I don't even know how to do yet, but
Yeah.
I'm just aware that it's in the game because of the trophy lists.
Right.
So
Exactly.
like, I don't know where the fishing is.
Oh yeah, I don't
Like,
enjoy the fishing at all.
I haven't
That's in
even
my
done
list,
that yet.
but
I haven't even done that yet.
yeah,
So,
it's
yeah.
like stuff with the guard. I'm like, I've done some of that, but I didn't enjoy it, and it,
Mhm.
once I got to the point where it was like, okay, I enjoyed exploring the shipwrecks the most. That's my mask.
Cool.
And that's when I was like, I need
Nice.
to get credits. I'm still going to go back and do more stuff. I was like, I need to get credits, and I at least have the exploration mask for the
Yeah.
ships. And so I was like, okay, I'll go home and then I'll go back later and do this other stuff. But
Cool.
so yeah, life-changing perspective. It's
I
not
really like that.
it wasn't, like it didn't change me the same way Ghost Song or like Portal 2 did,
Sure.
but
But like, a DNA change, big or small, is worth noting.
I agree.
And this is maybe one of the smaller ones, but I'm glad you saw that in the
Yeah.
game. That's actually like a surprise of mine that you had such a profound takeaway.
yeah,
That's cool.
I didn't expect it. Dislikes, to flip the coin on such a profound moment. This game has a lot of graphical glitches. Maybe it's just in the PlayStation version, but I will say that I did start it briefly on PC, and I was playing it. I was like, it runs on my computer, but it doesn't run well. And then I moved to PlayStation. I was like, oh no, this is just how it runs. This is just how the game is built.
What I've heard is that it's pretty unstable at a certain point on all platforms.
Okay.
And this is going to be something maybe we expound on a little bit more later, but it tends to get laggier the longer you play. And I think PS5 might be among the worst
worst.
performing because Shedworks prioritized making the PC versions and the Xbox versions better. And I think all of them across the board, when the game shipped, were worse. And I think they fixed things across the board. And relative to the other ones, PS5 is now like maybe one of the worst ones because they can't dedicate the time and the resources to fixing it, or so a forum post that I saw said.
Okay.
So there you go.
We'll expound more, but there were some graphical glitches, and to coincide with that, there were also a lot of difficulties with camera, especially in like confined spots. Especially considering one of those confined spots is the spot where you get new masks from the mask maker person thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bit unfortunate to have camera not know what to do in such an important spot.
Right. And it's like a cutscene, so it feels like it could almost just be a...
Well, at a certain point...
It does have to switch back.
Yeah, so when you're in there and you're exploring the dialogue, the camera is just kind of like trying to get in there, like a fly stuck in a car. But then it does get to a more pre-rendered section, so there is no camera necessarily.
I had that camera swiveling thing trying to find its spot in more than just the mask maker places.
It's all over the place, but that's like the most like egregious spot in my mind. So I mentioned that you can customize your hover bike, but the scaling in which certain types of hover bike parts are just objectively far and away better than others sort of limits what I'm allowed to do as far as truly customizing my bike. It's like, yeah, I want the beetle stuff because I think beetles look cool, and I know I'm not going to pick the beetle mask at the end of the game, but the beetle bike parts are kind of rubbish compared to like the lightning crystal stuff that I get later on. It's just not even close.
Yeah.
So it's like
everybody's kind of forced to if only you could spend some cuts to upgrade.
Right.
Yeah.
If you could scale everything so that if you want to
That'd be cool.
Look a certain way, you can still travel as fast as these other parts.
I didn't think about that, but that's something we do see in lots of games like this. Like you can start with a starting set that's not that good, but you can kind of just live with it. You can upkeep it, manage it, throw money at it until it at least holds up somewhat well.
Yeah. And this world's like too big. And it's just like at a certain point, it's like, I'm sorry, beetle parts, but this is taking me too long. And so I had to switch to like the lightning crystal parts, which look cool. They're pretty solid, but I only did it because it was moving faster.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a bit of a disappointment. I don't really get to look the way I want in all aspects of the game. The scale of the world was massive, and I was not expecting that. But, I'm going to throw this back to an early season 1 episode when we talked about Outer Wilds.
Yeah.
In Outer Wilds, you mentioned that the spots that have less detail are not spots that you need to worry about exploring.
Yeah.
In Sable, the world's pretty detailed all throughout. Like, you can look at a pillar of rock and find a chum egg on top, and you can drive your bike for a mile or two away. And you're not close to anything that you were before, not close to any landmarks. But that pillar of rock that you just got to looks exactly the same as the one you found a chum egg on.
Sure.
So it's like...
It's kind of looking homogenous, and there's enough spread out that you feel like, okay, there's stuff I can stumble across, but also, is there enough for all of this space that there is in the world to justify that?
Yeah, and it's just like, I'm pretty sure that it's, confined to the landmarks, like stuff to explore, but it's just like, you never know. Like, maybe there's a color palette on this cliff face for some reason, and the scale does add a huge gravity to when you make a big climb. There are times in this game where you're super high up and the vistas are incredible, and you get the sense that like anywhere you see you could maybe go to. Again, like you said, I'm not sure where the boundaries are, but I think that is a positive side effect, is that the world just looks impressive the higher you go, but you're not always doing that. You're sometimes on the bike, right? Just
trying to get from point A to point B, and it's a long way.
Yeah, and I don't know which areas are worth exploring and which ones are just a really attractive set dressing.
Yeah, fair.
So, and then some quests don't have the waypointing when it would be objectively super useful.
Yeah, and it doesn't follow the rules of like other quests that do have the waypoints.
Right.
Like it just seems like this one should have
This one should have
Yeah.
one. It's like you have to try to find this person at 3 different spots. Just waypoint those spots. Where is the way of the archer? I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea.
It's
I
not
had to
marked
look
on
that
the
up.
map.
There's some things I had to look up online
Yeah.
for quests.
That's going to be one of them. I think I did find the way of the archer, but I still
Yeah.
didn't finish that part of it. But anyways, fishing. I hate the fishing in this game.
Okay.
I think it's cool that there are fish living in sand. Like that's kind of neat,
That is cool.
but I just don't enjoy it.
I haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
So I have that to look forward to. Cool.
The thing that really was the nail in the coffin for me on fishing was just sometimes you would be able to cast your line and then it would hit the sand, but then that would be it. It would be done. And then other times you would hit the button when something hooks, is on the hook, and then it would just be done. You wouldn't get the fishing mini game. It would just, okay, done.
Okay.
So super unenjoyable experience in my opinion.
Okay. Well, I will give it a shot too at some point because I do want to see the areas of the game that I haven't seen yet. And I don't even know where you get the fishing because I've been every place. Is it a side quest?
There's a small boat, I guess, like a sand boat in one of the earlier areas.
Maybe I have not been to every place. then.
Yeah, you just have to talk to him and then he'll give you a fishing pole. Anyways, to wrap it up, I had a certain expectation for what Sable was going to be, and I was off by quite a bit. That being said, for a majority of the time, I did feel significantly overwhelmed by the scale of the world. However, when it came time to return home and end my gliding, I found myself wanting to stay out, and not just for completion, but because I actually did want to experience more of that world. And that's something I haven't felt in my own life. So this game expounded my perception to include a perspective that I was aware of, but never really understood. However, the scale of the world never ceased to be overwhelming, even in that state, and graphical and camera glitches remain distracting. Though I'm extremely grateful for the life-changing perspective, I do still have to give Sable an 8.5 out of 10.
Nice. I'm glad it was overall a positive experience. And I think it's full of surprises just about what this game is about. I didn't really go in having too many expectations other than we're going to be in an open world in the desert. That's really all I knew. And what I ended up really liking is how this game looks. I love the clothing and the architecture, how the environments look, the technology, the colors, how all that stuff intersects is super cool. You'll be exploring in this game and the sky will change color and it will just be gorgeous. The colors are amazing. I love the low frame rate movement. And I'm not talking about the performance stuff that Disco was mentioning. I just mean
it's intentionally animated that way.
It is intentionally animated. Like there are just fewer frames to your movement. And what that adds for me is an understated feeling, like a subdued feeling to how you move. And I think that carries across to the temperament of this game. I think this game is sort of a quiet game.
Yeah.
There's conflict in it. There are people who have problems that they need help with, but this is not unlike something like Mutazione, like where there is conflict, but the way that we're approaching it is just a very understated, subdued, quiet fashion. And I find myself more and more super attracted to those kinds of games. If anybody listening knows about more games like Sable or Mutazione in terms of personality, I would love those suggestions. It's something at a certain point that I can't describe. It's something I feel, and it's something you just kind of have to play to feel. So I love that that feeling is in this game. There's the fact that you can end the game when you want at a certain point, and that choice feels personally really meaningful to me. I've said this time and time again, but I love those choices that allow us to express ourselves. I love the music by Japanese Breakfast. It's incredible. I've added so many of these songs to my streaming playlists when I'm like on a BRB or something. It's now in the mix.
Yeah.
A lot of these sort of like new age tribal songs. Even the songs that are just instrumentals are incredible. You don't even need to know that they're by Japanese Breakfast. I was kind of worried that like is the music going to feel special because I know it's Japanese breakfast? And a lot of these songs I would never be able to
You
tell.
never know.
And it's still amazing. So it passed that test. There's the, I love this intersection between sci-fi and abandoned structures and desert tribes. That can be a hard thing to pull off. It can kind of feel like a mishmash. It can feel clumsy in other works of fiction, but it's like they're mixing digital with analog in the desert.
I love it.
And I
They've
love
got
it.
so many converter cables going
They
through
do.
under the sand.
Yes, a lot of purchases online to find the right chords and everything. I also really like that this game doesn't rely on combat. It is a pure exploration experience. I do love combat in games, but I love this game just leans into exploration and helping people. I do have dislikes as well. The performance issues are chief among them. I honestly think it is shocking that this game performs the way that it does. I am shocked. I am like kind of appalled, actually, at how much the game lags. It doesn't really announce itself for me at first. When I'm in the intro area, it was performing pretty fine. It was the longer I played, and then when I started going outside, into the other regions, that's when it started happening. And I'm like, ooh, okay. And it eventually gets to the point where if I'm playing for a few hours, the frame rate will drop so much that I'll be frozen on screen for like 1 or 2 solid seconds while I'm on my bike. And I have no sense about like where I'm going at a certain point. It's really hard to focus on the game. It's really hard to put that aside. There were other issues I had, like when I would try to quit the game. While it was doing the quitting action, the game would crash.
Whoa. Oh,
I had
no.
2
That's
crashes.
the worst time for it to happen.
I know, because that's when your game's saving. And after my second play session, I lost 2 hours of progress.
No.
And I think it's because I was quitting the game. I had saved. I had quit to menu. I was then quitting the app on PlayStation 5. And it had this progress bar of like trying to quit the app. And usually it's instant. For any
Yeah.
other game I've ever played on my PlayStation, it happens instantly.
I've
But with
had
this,
issues before, but
with this game, it just sat there thinking about quitting the app. And I was like, oh no. And then eventually after like 2 minutes, I got this crash error, and I think it failed to save my progress or something. I reloaded my save a couple days later, and I was like, oh, this quest is active that I finished. I don't have this outfit that I bought. I had like 2 more masks than this. There's a quest in my journal that I don't see that I had last time. And
damn it.
I was really upset by that. And we've had buggy games, we've had laggy games before. I am shocked that this is a featured game, a game I've heard a lot about, that a lot of people have raved about, that is this problematic with performance.
Yeah, that's a bitter taste. I'm so sorry.
I was just like, if those problems were not in the game, I'm going to have a score for this game, and you might be surprised at what it is, actually, after I've been talking about it. But my score would be probably dramatically different if not for these performance issues.
Yeah, I mean, that mine didn't quite get anywhere near as bad as yours. For me, it was like backgrounds in the far distance would like flicker in and out.
Yeah, there's draw distance stuff. I'm not even mentioning the stuff that I can forgive somewhat easily or relatively easily. Like there's that stuff too. I could just keep going about some things here, but I'm really focusing on like, these are the major things. But beyond that, I would say that swimming is really slow. I don't like swimming in this game.
Yeah.
Climbing, it's interesting. Climbing rock faces doesn't feel slow to me, but when I'm on a ladder and I'm climbing, it feels really slow, but I feel like they're the same speed.
It is the same speed.
There's this expectation I have in games where when I'm on on a ladder, I want it to be fast. And that's just not in this game. So I just wish some of these activities, these movement activities, were faster. Riding the bike can feel front heavy. I can feel also like floaty. And if you go off of even just a little jump, you can sometimes fly way high up in the air. It just feels a little chaotic. Then there's stuff with how the story is told and how dialogue sometimes happens. We're reading all the dialogue in this game. And we're often told what characters are thinking and feeling without being shown what they're thinking and feeling. It's this style that this game is written in where Sable will say like, I tell him that I'm angry. And it's like, why are you not just saying that in the way that dialogue normally happens? And then the other character will have dialogue that I'm reading. Or I'll go up to a character that I've had interactions with before, and the text on screen is literally, we have a nice conversation. And then it says exit. And it's like, why did I, what, there should be more there. So it's telling us things without showing us things. I don't know how else to explain it. The world, like you said, can feel quite big, and it can have a little bit of an empty feeling while you're on the bike just trying to get somewhere. I'm not sure it needs to be this big. I also point out that quests don't show up on the map sometimes, like they don't have quest markers. And then I wish the regions were marked on the map. Characters time and time again will remind you about names like The Wash and Badlands and Hakoa, like these names that I can kind of narrow down by crossing off others in the list. But I just wish on the map, put those names on there. I don't see the big deal in not having that.
Yeah, that was a complaint I had in Ghost Song too, which is persists to today trying to complete it.
Okay. So those little things can add up. But overall, here's what I'll say. Sable is hampered by performance issues and some tedium, but despite that, it's filled with thoughtful bits of story that add up to what feel like a breathing world. It is a gorgeous game, visually and auditorily. I really vibe with the personality of this game. I actually want to play more of it tonight. I am looking forward to it, and I was playing it this morning. I was finishing up all the ship sections. For a score, I'm going to land on an 8.
Wow.
Out of 10.
Way higher than I expected.
What did you expect after what I said?
I expected a 7.
Okay. So on paper, it sounds like maybe my score should be lower, but that's really, I think this is a game where the lows are quite low, but the highs are also super high for me.
Yeah.
So that can sometimes make it hard to narrow down on a score. So yeah.
So there's a world where Sable performs better, and you liked this way more than I did.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I don't know if there's anything else about technical flaws we need to share, but I just wish with the success the game's had, I wish there were resources to commit to fixing it, making it a little bit better, especially on PS5. And that's the version both of us played. We just want to point out. So if you have the convenience, listener, of playing Sable on multiple platforms, you might want to prioritize an Xbox version or the PC version. It might work better than PS5, just for your awareness. But let's turn to our favorite parts of exploring the world. I have some areas and then also just activities that I really love doing. You've mentioned exploring the ships. Those are our puzzle sections. That's one of mine too. That's what I was doing this morning. I love that the puzzles are just like the right amount of difficulty.
Yeah, I agree. And I think they look cool. And it's, now that I think about it, like those stand out the most as you're traveling this desert planet. It's like, oh, look, technology. I can go there.
Right. Yeah. And once you do one, like you said, that's a formula that announces itself and then it shows up in the other regions. So you know, oh, every region's going to have one of these big ships and they're easy to find.
Yeah.
And on your map, they have an icon too that's identifiable.
And then I'm thinking about still like giant plateaus and cliff faces, but if you can see that they have something built onto them, that's where climbing really came in for me too. Because I was like, I'm thinking of one in particular, which I assume is where the Way of the Archer is, up in the northern and northeast section.
Yeah, the Sodic Waste.
Yeah, which was the last part of the game I explored at all.
Same.
Yeah. And I got up there, and there's this like massive, like wide series of plateaus and platforms. I was like, I'm going to climb up as high as I can, and then I'm going to look down and see where all of the different important spots in this big series of cliff faces are.
Yeah.
And that's where I like really loved climbing. It was like I get to look down and then find all my collectibles, and it's worth the effort to do that.
Yeah, I had a similar moment in the Badlands. The Badlands was my version of that, I think. Yeah. Where you're just climbing and climbing, and you get to these plateaus looking way over these canyons, and you can just glide to all of them, and you don't quite get to the top of the next one, but you will have enough stamina to then climb up to the top. And the scale there was super impressive. And that's just where I was really taking in the scale of the world and seeing the vistas. And I think when you're super high up in this world, that's when it's super impressive. I also really liked getting to those cartographers' balloons. There were one or two that were extra puzzly that maybe I was approaching it from the wrong direction, but then I found the right way. But yeah, those are satisfying because they let you buy the map to that region, and then it uncovers on your map.
There were a lot of like, I think in one case, a cartographer section too, where it's like, we want you to do this kind of like jumping puzzle sort of a thing, where it was like, I'm going to go collect some chum eggs and get a lot more stamina, and I'm just going to brute force climbing instead.
Yes.
And so I would do that sometimes.
Right? Now, another section that I want to mention is Ekria, and this is the city that has like a night market area, and it has lots of quests, lots of characters, lots of like nooks and crannies. I spent a lot of time here. Did you?
I wanted to, but I was so disoriented, I couldn't figure out like which part of the city had this thing and which part of the city had this thing. And so I was kind of like a mini version of being overwhelmed by the scale of the world. I was just like, I got to get out of here.
Okay, yeah, it's like a civilization version of being overwhelmed. That's validating because I felt the same way. I would run around that place multiple times, just not taking it in and not understanding how the different sections connected to each other.
Yeah. And like, because there's like a hide and seek quest in there, right?
That stressed me out.
It took me a long time.
Yes.
I was going all the heck over the place.
So was I.
And like a couple times over. And I just like, I can't even find the easy one, quote, air quotes. It's like, I don't even know like how well these kids are supposed to be hiding.
Exactly. Like,
and
are
so
they hiding in a pot?
Right.
Like, is it just their head sticking out?
So like, I spent a long time like, I don't even know what kind of, hidden space I should be looking for. It was so stressful.
Dude, I got that quest of 3 kids want to have hide and seek, and I said, hell no. And I went elsewhere. I was like, I'll do that later. I did not have the energy at that time. But this city also has the quest where you can investigate the theft of a power core that leads to power, like electricity essentially being lost for the whole town. And I thought that was super interesting because it was a little more open-ended. It basically tasks you with investigate and find clues and talk to people. And so it's open-ended. It's not telling you who to go talk to. You have to use context clues. And you can kind of figure out a motive. You can figure out who's the one who did it. But then there's also like this moral thing, this moral choice you can make, because there are consequences to if you point out a certain person. And I chose not to point out a certain person because I wanted to protect them. Even like, so that was an instance where the game was like really making me think about the consequences, the moral choice, what was the truth. And it was kind of hard to figure it all out.
So that one went by a little bit fast for me. And when I picked somebody, I didn't necessarily know that that's what I was picking at the time. So at the same time, I want to push back maybe a little bit and that maybe there aren't necessarily consequences, at least not that I noticed. Because if you talk to that same person again, you get all the same dialogue options again, the same options that I did the first time.
I didn't talk to him again. So yeah, I was afraid of, I ended up accusing the person that I didn't like, not the person that I thought would get like locked away that I don't want to get locked away. And I thought I did some research on this just to make sure. I thought it said that the person would like disappear.
Interesting.
So I didn't want to do that. Yeah.
So I accidentally selected that person.
Oh.
But I didn't even know where they were in the world in the first place.
Because you hadn't talked to them yet?
Because I couldn't find them.
Got it. Okay. So I had talked to them. So
I think I
wanted-
maybe talked to them one time, but
Gotcha. Well, that's like an instance where I thought that quest didn't resemble really anything else. And another one that happened like that, where it's different, was also in Ecria, and it was the Shade of Ecria quest where we
Mhm.
have to find this like hidden mask. And then like there's a cutscene that happens with this quest that was
wild.
crazy.
Mad.
Crazy. I yelled, dude. I was like, what is happening? I have a Twitch clip of this actually where I'm reacting to it. It was just, I was like, what did this game just become for like 10 seconds? And then it acts as if nothing happens.
Yeah, that was like the first mask that I got. I was like, is this what it's always going to be like?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, Ecria is super interesting. I'm sure there are things in there I haven't even seen yet.
I'm interested in exploring. I'm more interested in exploring the whale. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I've barely gone in there.
I've only been in there a little bit. So that's the big Ecria sized place I'm more interested in.
And that brings us to the next topic, which is what we still might want to do in Sable. I think I want to explore the whale as well.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to do? You want to get all the glowworms? All 165?
I have done nothing with you. Do you mean the chum eggs?
The chum eggs, sorry.
Yes.
Sorry, the chum eggs.
I don't know that I want to get all of them. I do want to get the chum mask. That might be the end of it.
Yeah,
We'll see.
There you go.
I haven't done anything with glowworms actually, so I know that there's still like bug stuff that I haven't done.
You haven't done anything with glowworms.
No.
I had a quest where I had to go get glowworms out of a cave. So you didn't do that?
Nope, haven't.
Oh.
I don't think I've even triggered that quest to exist
Oh
yet.
my gosh.
Yeah.
So glowworms are how I bought everything in the game.
Oh,
Yeah. So you get a quest to go to the glowworm cave, and it's kind of weird getting in there. I won't tell you how to get in there, but once you find glowworms, you can pick up tons of them, and they sell for 30 cuts
whoa, that's big.
each. Yeah. And so once you collect enough, you can basically it doesn't matter how much something costs, you can then sell glowworms to offset the cost of things.
Interesting.
And so you can buy out a merchant's entire stock and then have them buy glowworms from you, and then they don't have any cuts left.
So I want to ask, because one of the things I want to do is go to everybody and buy all the like bike parts and all the clothes and all the stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Because like I'm not
Yeah.
even close to that. That's why I was using the completed quests to be like,
Oh,
I
sure.
know I didn't buy stuff here and here and here. Who do you go to like sell all this stuff? Because most of the people I've talked to recently in my like beginning of trying to buy everything ran out of cuts like right away. I'm just like, I have all these like butterflies and stuff, but you don't have any cuts to like buy my crap.
I think what you do is you go to the merchants that still are selling things. And when you buy their stuff, they have more cuts now. So you sell your butterflies and your glowworms to them.
Right. I'm kind of in a spot at the moment where the things I want to buy cost more than I have. So I
Oh.
can't.
I think that's why there are chests in the world. Like the pots that you open that give you 20 cuts. I think you have to maybe find more of those, unfortunately.
Jesus.
Sorry. Yeah, that's
I'm
that's
kind
rough.
of stuck in it where like we're both broke, but we want each other's crap kind of a thing.
Yeah, that sucks. I haven't run into that issue myself, but if you can find just one merchant that's selling something for like 75 cuts, like whatever amount that you have, then you could, I don't know, maybe make that
It's
work.
an interesting mechanic for a game to have. Like I've never had a game where it was like you can sell your stuff to a merchant, but they can actually like run out of money. I've never
and then
had
they
that happen
won't
before.
replenish after a certain amount of
Yeah.
in-game days. You're sure?
I don't know.
They could be that after a certain number of in-game days, it comes back, but I can't verify. But that's another point is that this game does have a day-night system, and there's some interesting stuff going on with that.
Is there? I didn't notice anything that really mattered.
Have you been to the Broken Bridge in the Badlands?
Probably.
Uh,
I've been to a lot of bridges that are broken.
okay, it's marked on the map as like there's a quest that asks you to go there.
Okay, so this is yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
And when you glide across, there's actually a puzzle with one of those big faces that cuts in half and opens.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a hint to it, and it says like when the shadow of the two swords cross, then stand face to face, and it will open. Did you see that?
Yes, I thought
That has to do with the day-night cycle.
I thought it was
Yeah.
telling me that I needed to go get more of the like guard pins or whatever.
No.
Badges, the guard badges.
Yeah, no. That's something that's dependent on the day-night cycle where it has to be like 8 a.m. and you stand on the platform looking at it. And so every hour of in-game time is 1 minute. So if it's 9 a.m., you have to wait like 23 minutes.
Okay.
But then also those rings that you can zoom through to activate the structures so that you get I forget what they're called. You find 6 of those and you bring them to a mysterious shrine. Once you do that, there's a machinist or something who needs in-game time to pass before you can finish that quest. And I'm waiting for him to have had enough time to research. So I will talk to him. He says, I'm not ready yet. And I go do more things. And then I come back and he's like, I'm still not ready. So yeah, it does play a role.
Okay.
Here and there.
All right. At one point I specifically stopped and I'm like, what's the point of this? Why is this in the game?
Yeah. And it's like, I like that it's not a super obtrusive thing. I like that it's just popping up here and there. And it gives us the nice excuse of having day shift into night. And it's kept track of, like, you know what time of day it is. So anything else about Sable you wanted to share?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, I'm glad we both played this. I'm glad you picked it. It was, even though it was your like really passionate pick for the season, I was also really looking forward to it. And I'm glad we both got a lot out of Sable. That is our review of the game. You can play it on PC, PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series. DiscoCola rated it an 8.5. I rated it an 8. That's the end of this episode of Underplayed. You can find more of our episodes at kzum.org/underplayed and on common podcast platforms like Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Our music was composed by Jack Rodenberg. Our art comes from Onimochi. Check out our show notes where you can find and follow us across social media. Underplayed is on Bluesky, Instagram, and Threads. You can find my links down below, and I stream a variety of indie games on Twitch.
And I am at DiscoCola in many of those places, and you can find me very occasionally on Twitch, where I now play a variety pack of games, and I
Love it.
I love that concept, so I might stick with that for most of my streams.
I love that. That's such a cool branding thing that you're doing. Next time, we'll have 2 more secret games to review, a discussion with our friend Hey, It's Haley, and our featured game will be Dwarf Romantic, a strategy puzzle game developed by Tucana Interactive. Until then, everyone, keep on playing.